Today I'm talking to a world-renowned champion of women's rights, Nigeria's pride and treasure, the First Lady of Ekiti State, also the chair of Nigeria's Governors' Wives Forum, Her Excellency, Erelu Bisi Fayemi. How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine, thank you, Sister Tom. Good afternoon.
Thank you for talking to me. Thank you. I want to start with feminism. There's a lot of misconceptions about feminism. Due to faulty thinking. For men, they see feminists sometimes as anti-men. And for a lot of women, they have redefined what feminism is. I know you've been on this journey for so many decades. So I'm asking you, what is feminism?
Well, to me, feminism is a global struggle against all forms of patriarchal oppression. To the best of my own knowledge, understanding, and experience, it is not a war between men and women in that sense, in that literal sense. It's a war against systems and structures and processes that reduce opportunities for women, that exclude women from having a voice, from power, from decision-making, from having their own agency. And it is against all those processes of socialization that imply that women need to go through life as second-class citizens. And everything they do and everything they achieve has to be mediated by male power and control. And so what women like myself who identify as feminists are saying is that we want to interrogate these structures, and they come in different forms: political structures, economic structures, religious, social, technological. In any form in which we have patriarchy undermining the rights of women, we are going to interrogate those structures and ensure that those structures, systems, and processes are either demolished entirely or transformed to enable women have a voice, have agency, and have control over their lives. That is what feminism means to me.
Thank you very much. I also want you to talk on another concept that has been misunderstood, the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. What is it? The GO Bill, everybody's talking about the GO Bill, and people really do not know what it means. What exactly is the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill?
If you would recall, in 1979, the United Nations agreed to what is now known as the Women's Bill of Rights, CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. It was meant to be a roadmap for nations of the world to be able to ensure that women have access to certain things, basic things like, education, like, services that they should be entitled to, that they have access to healthcare, for example, that they can live their lives free from all forms of violence, from discrimination, and so on. All the ways in which I was explaining earlier, all the ways in which women experience patriarchal oppression, for women to be able to have a roadmap out of that. And so many nations of the world ratified CEDAW. Nigeria is one of those countries who did that, but the process of ratification is different from domesticating. So now, in order to domesticate CEDAW, Nigeria needs to have its own national legislation, which is where Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill comes in. It is simply a bill that can ensure that Nigerian women have a right to hold public office if they want to contest elections if they want to, and to be assured that there will be a level playing field. It will allow women to live their lives free of discrimination. There will be no such thing as you have to go and bring your husband, your father, your brother before you can get a passport as a Nigerian citizen. It would enable women access facilities like credit, like loans, and so on, without having to bring someone to sign on their behalf. Basically, a bill that gives women the right to a personhood, a bill that protects women from harmful traditional practices, that will ensure that women can inherit property, should they, be willing to do so. And the list goes on. All the opportunities that women are supposed to have as full human beings, as citizens of Nigeria. And so anyone who believes that women have a right to a voice in this country, that women have a right to agency of their own, should be in support of a gender and equal opportunities bill, which will enhance the rights of women in this country.
Thank you very much. Still talking about the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. What does the passage of the bill, what does it mean for Nigeria? The reason I've asked this is a lot of people think that the bill itself is only for women and only for girls. What does it mean for Nigeria? How would Nigeria benefit from the passage of the bill?
Nigeria will benefit because it means that as a nation, we are now prepared to clap with two hands. And this is an exercise I do when I have these conversations in communities. If I ask you to clap with one hand now, can you demonstrate to me how that would look like? Would there be any sound?
Absolutely not.
None. So we cannot continue as a nation clapping with one hand, with women being absent from, drafting economic policies or understanding how they impact on women, without women having access to a decent education, without women having access to certain opportunities in the workplace, without women having access to decision making. Look at our National Assembly. Less than 5% of women. We have 36 state governors in Nigeria. Not one is a woman. And so if we have a gender and equal opportunities bill in Nigeria, what we are saying is we are now ready as a nation to fully embrace women as critical stakeholders in the country. And we are ready to remove all obstacles in the way of Nigerian women. We are now prepared to clap with both hands for us to achieve all our development goals. Because any nation that is not prepared to address the issue of gender equality and gender inclusion is a nation that is not ready to achieve any of its development goals. We have 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I don't know of any one of those SDGs that can be achieved without the full and equal participation of women. So it will be of great benefit to Nigeria if this bill is passed. So then it means as a nation, we are prepared to move forward and experience true and even development as a country.
As chair of Nigeria's Governors' Wives Forum, what interventions have you put in place to protect and develop the Nigerian woman and the Nigerian girl?
Thank you. Well, as First Ladies of our respective states, we are all involved in one program or the other to enhance the well-being of women and children. We have different interests and different strengths. There are members of the forum who are medical doctors, for example, and so their areas of interest would be in that area. There are some of us who are academics and who have their own interests and understanding in that regard. And there are some who have a business background and are interested in economic empowerment issues and so on. But regardless of our specific interests and backgrounds, as a body of First Ladies, we've agreed that our flagship program for the moment is going to be sexual and gender-based violence. And we agreed to do that last year during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns, when gender-based violence became such a national conversation. And since then, we've done quite a lot of work in that area. One of the first things we did in 2020, when we decided to come together as governors' wives to address sexual and gender-based violence, was to approach the Nigeria Governors Forum, our husbands, and to ask them to declare a state of emergency against gender-based violence in Nigeria, which they did. And what the governors agreed to do with the declaration of a state of emergency on gender-based violence was that they were all going to go back to their states. And those who had not passed the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act will do so. And those who already have the act in place will ensure that there's effective implementation and there will be political will to drive all the processes that were necessary. I'm pleased to let you know that June last year, when the state of emergency was passed, only 14 states had passed the VAP Act. And now, in 2021, roughly 17 months and later, 30 states in Nigeria have passed the VAP Act.
That's a huge feat.
Yes, and if you add the FCT, that makes 31. And this has been due to the pressure that's been put on the states, the efforts of Nigerian governors' wives, as well as many civil society organizations, women's rights organizations around the country. And in addition to the work we are doing around gender-based violence, we are also interested in the issue of drug trafficking, because we believe that that is something that has been ravaging our country. It's been creeping up on us for far too long. And so we've decided to do effective advocacy, awareness, and sensitization around that issue as well. And for a number of years now, some first ladies have been working on cancer issues. We have a working group at the Nigeria Governors' Rights Forum known as First Ladies Against Cancer. And for obvious reasons, we are very concerned about this. Some of us as governors' wives are survivors of one form of cancer or the other. And we feel that it's important for us to use the platforms that we have to raise our voices and try to influence policies, mobilize resources, and drive as much attention as possible to the need for us to fully engage on cancer mitigation in our communities. So I'll just mention those three issues: our work on gender-based violence, our work on drug trafficking, and cancer.
So what is the highlights for Nigeria's Governors' Wives Forum during the 16 days of activism?
Well, all of us are involved in organizing activities in our states during the 16 days of activism, which runs from November 25th to December 10th. Just like we did last year, this year we are organizing another policy dialogue. It's going to be on December 2nd in Abuja. And we are inviting some governors, our husbands, to come and tell us what has happened since they declared the state of emergency against gender-based violence last year. And there's going to be a mix of governors there. There'll be some governors whose states have already passed the VAP Act, and there'll be some whose states have not passed the VAP Act. So we'll be able to ask polite questions as to why this has not happened. And for those who have passed the VAP, what are they putting into ensuring that there's effective implementation? So that, for us, is going to be the highlight of the 16 days. Some of us started the 16 days campaign with a march in our states on November 25th. And some of us, my state included, will close out the campaign on December 10th with a march in our states as well. But throughout the 16 days, there are going to be different activities run by First Ladies. But we'll all come together in Abuja to have our conference on December 2nd.
Thank you very much. I want to zero in on Ekiti State now. Ekiti State has been on the fore on gender equality issues. According to a survey, Ekiti State is very tough on perpetrators of violence against women and girls. And the question is, how did the government create such an environment of justice and fairness where survivors are able to speak up and survivors are being supported and perpetrators clamped upon?
I believe the easy answer to that question is strong political will. The governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Erelu Bisi Fayemi, is a well-known human rights activist. He's a scholar. He has a long history of engaging with social movements around the world. And so becoming governor of a state and being responsible for ensuring that you bring development and transformation to your home state is something that is extremely important to him. So the issue of ensuring that the well-being of women and the well-being of children is prioritized shouldn't be seen as a surprise. And that is why Ekiti State has about the most robust legal and policy frameworks in Nigeria for the promotion of gender equality and women's empowerment. And the governor is supported by his wife, my humble self, who has been a gender specialist and development person for over 30 years. And I've spent all my life working on these issues on countries around the world. Charity begins at home. So if I could have worked with women in countries all over Africa to help them develop laws, to help build capacity, to help train them to do leadership development, the least I can do is to bring it back to my own home state. We have an amazing Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in the Ekiti State, Wale Fakunda, who has provided really, really great leadership on these issues and has ensured that we have all the legal and policy frameworks that we need to drive the point home that there is zero tolerance for all forms of violence in Ekiti State. On the whole, I believe that one of the things that Ekiti State is well known for, apart from the body of laws and policies that you speak about, is the institutions that we have put in place to ensure that these systems are sustainable. Because we've had the experience of trying to work on these issues over a period of 4 years during my husband's first term, from 2010 to 2014. And then we left for 4 years. And by the time we came back, the administration who took over from us did not prioritize the issues we were concerned about. And so we more or less had to start all over again. But so now we've learned that lesson. So we are trying to make sure that we have institutions in place that would outlast us, and that would then come with an understanding of ownership from a whole range of stakeholders, from the public service, from civil society organizations, from communities, our traditional rulers, our religious leaders, and so on, and from the women themselves, that these laws and policies and processes and institutions that have been put in place are theirs. They don't belong to Governor Fayemi or Erelu Fayemi. So when we leave, we are not living with them. We are leaving them behind for, for the empowerment and betterment of our people.
Thank you. I want to take you back to Ekiti State being a gender-sensitive state. And I want you to talk about the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill, because I understand that it had been passed at the state level many years ago.
The Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill was passed in the Ekiti State in 2013. And we felt it was important to do this because if we want women to have access to a full range of opportunities, political opportunities, economic, social, technological, and so on, if we don't want to keep begging every governor for inclusion of women, for gender mainstreaming, and so on, then it needs to be there as a matter of law, as a matter of policy in black and white, that these are the options that the state has on the table when it comes to gender equality and women's empowerment. Before then, we had other laws and policies in place. In 2011, for example, Ekiti State became the first state in Nigeria to domesticate the national gender policy. Since then, I think 3 or 4 states have domesticated, and now the national gender policy has been revised many years later. But Ekiti State was the first state to domesticate the national gender policy. And then we had our own gender-based violence law in 2011. We then started working on the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill for Ekiti State because we felt that that law was absolutely critical to pin down all these gains that we had been making and to ensure that going forward, as I said, it doesn't become an issue that we have to start begging every successive administration on. And I'm happy to see that we are making some progress now in getting the legislation passed at the national level. And I'd like to assure people that it's been done in Ekiti State, and that is why Ekiti State is continuing to achieve the great strides it is making now.
Thank you very much. I'd like to have your last word.
I believe that the time has come for us to stop acting as if we can achieve anything in this country without the full and equal participation of women. When we are asking for women to be given a seat at the table, when we are asking for women to be given a voice, or to be recognized as contributing to national development, we are not asking for a favor. We are asking for what is due to us. We are asking for what is rightfully ours. Everyone stands to gain if women are empowered, and we all stand to lose if women are disempowered.
Erelu Bisi Fayemi, thank you very much for talking to me. It's been worth my while.
Thank you for inviting me. I've enjoyed the program as well. Thank you.
That is the First Lady of Ekiti State, the chair of Nigeria's Governors' Wives Forum, Nigeria's pride and treasure, Erelu Bisi Fayemi, Her Excellency. My name is Tom Okiwale Shonaya. God bless Nigeria.